and welcome back. This is Junhua from TCM Explained. In the last video, we learned what is Qi and some examples related to TCM. In this video, we are going to learn about fundamental TCM theory of Yin Yang. The theory of Yin Yang is an analytical thinking tool that views the world through a lens of Yin and Yang. It sees nature and differentiates two pairs that are natural complements but opposites in character, like fire and water. Also, it allows us to compare things in relation. For instance, room temperature water is yang compared to ice water, but when it is compared to hot water, room temperature water is yin. The theory of yin-yang is much like Qi in a sense that its concept permeated Chinese culture and philosophical thinking. It is a big topic and there are just too many things to talk about. So for this video, we are going to focus on the four aspects of yin-yang relationship and its clinical application in TCM. Let's say there is a small hill and the sun is about to rise. As soon as the sun rises over the horizon, two things will appear to our eyes: the sunny side of the hill and the shady side of the hill. The traditional Chinese character for yang represents the bright side of the hill, and the character for yin represents the dark side of the hill. So what these yin and yang characters are conveying is that the hill stands as one, but it has two sides that are polar opposites. In other words, yin and yang are opposite aspects within the phenomenon, and they oppose each other to form a balance. This is the first aspect of the theory of yin-yang called the opposition of yin-yang. For example, fire and water, up and down, and so on. So yin and yang are polar opposites opposing each other. However, they also have a mutual relationship. They need each other because they cannot exist alone. This is called the interdependence of yin-yang. When the sun goes up, the sunny side of the hill must have the shady side of the hill. Speaking of the sun, the simplified Chinese character for yang looks like this, with the part that represents the sun. And for yin, the character has a part that represents the moon. So from this, we can see that the sun and moon and day and night all represent the yang and the yin. So yin and yang oppose each other and depend on each other. Let's take a look in the perspective of time, since our time is much related to the sun. This circle represents the time of the day, like 24-hour clock. So let's write down the time: 6 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m., and 12 a.m. At dawn, the sun comes up. At noon, the sun is at the highest. At dusk, the sun goes down and the moon comes up. At midnight, the moon is at the highest, the moon goes down, and the cycle of the day and night continues. Here, the sun represents the yang, so the time when the sun is up from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will call it as yang. On the other hand, the moon represents the yin, so the time when the moon is up from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., we will call it as yin. But we need to understand that even though the time between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is yang, the quantity of yang does not stay the same during that time. The sun rises and falls, so does yang. As yang grows, the yin diminishes. As yang diminishes, yin grows. In other words, there is a dynamic equilibrium between yin and yang through quantitative change. This is called the mutual consumption of yin-yang. How about the change that takes place at 6 p.m. where yang turns into yin, or 6 a.m. where yin turns into yang? This is a qualitative change of yin and yang. and this is called the intertransformation of yin-yang. In order for the qualitative change to occur, the internal conditions have to be matured at the right stage of development, just like a flower bud has to mature and has to wait for the right time to bloom. We can also take this circle and have it represent the time of the season by replacing dawn with spring, noon with summer, dusk with fall, and midnight with winter. This cycle of yin-yang can be applied to our lifespan as well. Last thing I want to mention is that yin-yang can be further divided into yin-yang. That is because yin contains the seed of yang, and yang contains the seed of yin. Another way to say is yin-yang is relative. For example, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is yang, but it can be further divided into yin and yang. From 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. is relatively yang because the sun is rising, whereas from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. is yin because the sun is going down. This concept is called the infinite divisibility of yin-yang. Now we know the four aspects of yin-yang relationship. Let's go over the clinical applications of the theory of yin-yang in TCM. In the last video, we learned that there are many kinds of qi in our body. It is same for yin and yang. Anatomy, physiology, etiology, pathophysiology, diagnosis, treatment principle, etc. It is hard to come up with any aspect of TCM that does not apply the theory of yin-yang. That is why the topic of yin-yang is so broad. For now, we are going to focus on its application in TCM pathology. And in case you want to learn more about the theory of yin-yang and see other examples, you can visit our blog, and there you will find notes and tables. The link is down below in the description. In TCM, good health is achieved when there is a balance of yin and yang. Once there is a yin-yang disharmony, disease will occur. So what does it mean exactly? Let's draw a simple diagram to help us understand. For the sake of simplicity, let's say yin is cold and yang is heat. And let's assume there's a 50% of yin and 50% of yang in our body. They are in perfect balance. But sometimes, for some reason, there can be an excess of yang, like 10% extra, which can further consume yin. Or there can be an excess of yin, which further consumes yang. These conditions where yin or yang is in excess are called excess syndrome. The extra yang is going to cause heat symptoms, and this is called excess heat syndrome. On the other hand, extra yin is going to cause cold symptoms, and this is called excess cold syndrome. Another scenario is like this. From a perfect balanced state, for some reason, there can be a deficiency of yin or deficiency of yang, let's say down to 40%. These conditions where yin or yang is in deficiency are called deficiency syndrome. This graph shows that the yang is relatively more than yin, so it's called deficiency heat syndrome. This one shows that the yin is relatively more than yang, so it's called deficiency cold syndrome. Although deficiency heat syndrome and excess heat syndrome both are called heat syndrome, the clinical presentations of heat symptoms are quite different. About how they are different, we'll get there eventually. Let's review what we learned in this video. We talked about the theory of yin-yang, the four aspects of yin-yang relationship, and how the disharmony of yin-yang causes different syndromes. But what we really learned today is a different way of seeing the world and a new language to describe things or phenomena. As we get more comfortable with them, we will be better at learning TCM concepts in the future. We can say that the nature of yin-yang theory is binary and relative. In the next video, we're going to talk about the theory of the 5 elements, which is more about categorization and association.